A mochi moment from Mark, who writes, I just want to thank you for making GLP-1s affordable. What would have been over $1,000 a month is just $99 a month with Mochi. Money shouldn't be a barrier to healthy weight. 3 months in, and I have smaller jeans and a bigger wallet. You're the best. Thanks, Mark. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Mark is a Mochi member compensated for his story.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today, and let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes.
My name
Listener
is Sarah
discretion
Turney, and this
is
is
advised.
Voices for Justice. Today, I'm discussing the case of Skye Budnick. On March 31st, 2008, 21-year-old Skye Budnick is sitting in her living room in Southington, Connecticut. She's eating a freshly baked cupcake, courtesy of her mother, and grinning at her older sister. Skye had asked their mom to make her a batch of cupcakes just like old times when she was little. She's the baby of the family, so her older sister Megan kind of metaphorically rolls her eyes at this, as Skye grins and happily eats the cupcakes. Megan's 4 years older, and remembers going off to school along with her older brother Matt, while Skye got to stay home and do fun things like bake cupcakes with their mom. In Megan's words, Skye was 21 and perfectly capable of making her own cupcakes. Skye was living at home while studying Japanese culture at Central Connecticut State University. She's sweet and shy and very into anime. But Skye definitely just hasn't flown the nest yet. So when Megan sees Skye smiling and talking about how their mom made these cupcakes for her, Skye gets the typical older sibling treatment from Megan. The kind of nonverbal, sarcastic grow-up. But of course, hindsight is 20/20. When Megan reflects on this now, things look completely different. She thinks that Skye asking their mom to bake these cupcakes may have almost been a goodbye of sorts. Because the very next day, Skye packed a small bag, drove her car to the airport, and took a one-way flight to Japan without telling anyone. This is the case of Skye Budnick. We know so little about Skye's disappearance that I knew her sister Megan's participation in this episode would be vital. Of course, she can and will tell us about who Skye is as a person, and certain patterns and habits that may help us find her. But she and her mom are some of the only people who have actually ever looked for Skye. Essentially, they're leading the charge, and know more than anybody about the investigation into finding Skye. Now, you guys know that my goal here is to always make you feel for the person I'm talking about. I really am forever optimistic that if I can make you care about people like Skye, you'll take a few seconds out of your day to participate in our call to action and to share the case. And hopefully, if we're really lucky, we'll generate some leads. That's the entire goal of this show and why I'm here right now. But as we look at Skye's case, our best hope of understanding what may have happened to her is by understanding her. Like I mentioned earlier, Skye is shy and reserved. As the youngest, she's babied pretty hard, and Megan admits that Skye was always their dad's favorite. But when Skye was about 8, Megan told me that she began to notice that she was changing and becoming more introverted. Here's Megan.
Probably like 4th, 5th grade. She definitely became a little bit more introverted. She definitely kind of retreated to like her own like corner of the house. She had some friends that lived next door, but they had like a falling out, and Skye had firm boundaries. If something just wasn't like, if she wasn't comfortable with something, then it was done. Like that friendship was over. And she did that throughout her life. I actually just yesterday, actually, I had a DM from somebody that used to live across the street from us, and she was the same age as Skye. And she reached out to, say, hey, I see what you're doing for Skye's case. And, that's amazing. And I remember all these like weird teenage talks with Skye when we would walk to the bus stop. And I remember this girl pretty well because to Skye, she was a good friend. But I don't think most of the people that she considered good friends considered Skye a good friend. Skye had, she put up walls. She wasn't like always down to hang. She was a homebody. So because of that, just because of who she was, it just kind of cemented the fact that she was an introverted person. And in my household, everybody was.
As Skye became more introverted, she did find hobbies that she really enjoyed. Megan told me that Skye got super into anime and spent a lot of time in bookstores curating her manga collection. She also really just enjoyed playing video games with her older brother Matt. But Skye struggled as she entered high school.
During high school, Skye definitely became more depressed. It started probably then. She had told my mom that she had a group of friends at school, and something happened, and the girls didn't want Skye sitting at the lunch table with them anymore. But Skye had nowhere to go, so she continued to sit there, and they just made her life, like, just terrible. But she wasn't one to, like, stand up or be confrontational or, confront anybody in any way. So she didn't have a great time in high school. It wasn't until she went to college and she found a group of people that had the same interests.
After enduring the horrors of high school and graduating, Skye enrolls at Central Connecticut State University and focuses her studies on learning about Japanese culture. And like Megan told us, Skye found friendship here and even joined the anime club. Skye continued to live at home but did work a few different jobs. She used a lot of her extra cash to build up her collection of anime toys, manga, and anything related to Japan. But by her junior year, Skye was falling behind in her classes. Specifically, she struggled with oral presentations in her Japanese class. She'd just freeze up and have what Megan would liken to a panic attack. But for Skye, the consequences of failing her classes, specifically Japanese, were bigger than her just losing some money, time, and having to retake a class. Failing meant that she couldn't study abroad in Japan, which is something she really wanted to do.
It turns out she was failing all of her classes, and nobody knew. We didn't find this out until it was actually a few months before she left, because she wasn't able to do a study abroad program. So her goal was to go to Japan, and everybody knew that. And it was just like, I remember my mom telling me, like, because like they would have like these like late night like talks. So Skye would get into my mom's bed and they would just kind of discuss the day and whatnot. And my mom, was just like, if school isn't for you, it's okay. Like, you can find another way. And she's like, this is your dream. If you want to go to Japan, like, you can, figure it out. And if you like want to study abroad, then just get your grades up. It's okay. Like, if you need help, ask for help. And I think it was after that, then she started seeing a therapist.
Megan told me that she didn't notice a major change in her sister at this time. Nothing that would make anyone suspicious that Skye may want to leave. But she did. On March 31st, 2008, Skye asked her mom to make her those cupcakes, just like old times. And the next day, she boarded a plane to Japan without telling anyone. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/Sarah E. Turney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together. And Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice. When Skye's family realizes that she's missing, they can't even imagine where she might be. So they begin scouring her room for anything that might point them to where she's gone. And it seems like Skye took almost nothing with her. Megan told me that Skye didn't own a cell phone, so there's nothing we can pull from there. It was really just her debit card, laptop, and Nintendo DS that she took with her. So initially, it doesn't really look like she's going to be gone for long. But of course, they want to know what the heck's going on, so they get into Skye's email account. And that's when they see it. Just a few days prior, Skye booked a one-way ticket to Japan.
Yeah. With Skye being missing in Japan, so initially, when we had called the police here in Southington, Connecticut, they didn't take it seriously. They were just like, okay, we'll be there in like 2 hours or so, you know? And then when my brother found the email, the police officer then told us, oh, go to the airport, see if you can find her car, see if that's like, you know, where she went. And when we found the car, we let them know, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they started just kind of checking with airlines, and it was confirmed that she went to Japan. So when we found all that out, it was so hard to believe because it was just such a ballsy move. And then we were told that in order to file a missing persons report, we have to physically go to Japan. Japan has different rules and protocols, and I mean, having a missing person in the States is hard enough to understand because every state you're going to deal with different laws and different protocols. So we didn't know what we were in for in terms of what Japan's policies were. So my mom and I go to Japan because you gotta. So we get to Japan, and they were so on top of it. They were formal, they were respectful, they were dealing with like two crazy people who just were so out of their element, and they were so kind to us. And I remember talking with my mom about it, and we were like, oh, thank God she's missing here. But it then became really clear that there really wasn't much they could do unless there was a lead, unless something came in. They're not going to just stop what they're doing and scour the country for this American woman. And that was upsetting because I think as a kid, like culturally, like when you're growing up, they tell you like the authorities have your best interest at heart and they will always be there to help you. And that is one of the biggest lies. like, and and it doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter if they're in Japan or in the States. If you think about it like objectively, these people are doing a job. I don't think anybody really loves their job. And with their job, like they have standards and protocols. They can't really go outside like the lines. And they have restrictions in terms of manpower, time, and budget. And when you realize that, you're just like, oh, like we're kind of on our own. And being in Japan, that made it so much worse because of the distance, because of the language barrier, the cultural barrier, just all of it.
Megan and her mother, Susan, stay in Japan for about 2 weeks, trying to find any trace of Skye that they can. They hand out flyers, try to speak with locals, and even manage to put together a press conference.
I was working with MTV at the time, and they had like producers and stuff in Japan. So we were able to kind of finagle something that way. And then like word got out and a lot of reporters showed up to the press conference, and I thought that was really cool. And then that was the only time after we had the press conference is when some leads came in. And, that's when they were able to verify Skye was seen in a few different areas. So I don't know the exact location of, there was a kiosk that I think he was Australian or Austrian at this point. I can't remember. And I also have never had access to the police records. So even to this day, when I went to Japan, even Japan won't open up the police records for the U.S., for like the U.S. Marshal that was with us and the detective from Southington that came with us. So, that person helped Skye out at a kiosk to get a ticket somewhere. And then there was a taxi driver. I believe the taxi driver was in Noboribetsu. And then there was 2 different inns where the workers confirmed that she stayed. And when we went in 2008, and when we found out that she was in Noboribetsu, me and my mom were like, well, let's go. But then the police were like, no. Like, we already questioned everybody. There's really nothing you can do over there. And we didn't understand that at that time. And it was a huge regret that we didn't go. But it was also like, well, we don't know where it is. We don't know how to communicate with anybody. So it was kind of like, okay, like, it was the right decision at the time.
But eventually, Megan had to fly back home. Her mom did stay behind a little bit longer, hoping she'd be right behind Megan with Skye. But that didn't happen.
Then it became clear that we're going to be leaving without her and without maybe any answers. And we were told that the Japanese authorities would check in if anything came up. And nothing really came up. Even if we were trying to call in to look for updates, we would just get like hung up on because, you're calling a Japanese police station and you're speaking English. And they're just like, never mind. So things like that became really apparent that it wasn't going to be easy to get any updates, anything like that. And since it was in a different jurisdiction, the police in Southington at that time wanted like nothing to do with it. They're just like, well, it's over there. And so we didn't even have a connection between the police in the States and like the Japanese police.
We know that Skye got help from the man at the kiosk, and she visited and stayed at a few inns. Megan will go deeper into that later in the episode. But after this, there's just no real trace of Skye. We know that Skye didn't have a cell phone, but she did take her laptop and Nintendo DS, which could access the internet. Her digital footprint completely stopped after she went missing. But Skye's family did find something else in her email that was extremely disturbing. She drafted what appears to be a suicide letter to a friend that she never sent. This is something her family considered immediately in Skye's case, and they were upfront about that with the officials and the media. They believed Skye may have taken this trip in order to die by suicide. But Megan and Skye's mom, Susan, thinks that there may be more to that. They think it's very possible that Skye was communicating with someone who helped her, or at the very least encouraged her to go to Japan.
I lean towards the theory that somebody helped her, that she made a connection online in some way, and had started some sort of relationship. Because the reason why I don't think that she went there to solely to commit suicide is because of the effort it takes to just get yourself out there. You're going to be flying, you're going to be traveling for a solid 24 hours to get from Connecticut, and then have your layover in DC, a layover in Tokyo. You got to go through customs and immigration, and then you got to take another domestic flight to Hokkaido, and then you have to take a train from there to go to where you're going. That's a long time to be alone with your thoughts. And unless she was in a different mental state, if something happened, some sort of episode happened, I can't see her just going to end her life there. This was something a place that she wanted to go, And to go to where she went, it would take a lot of planning in 2008 to make that happen. You can't just be on your phone and use hotels tonight and be like, oh, I'm going to stay here. No. Yeah, none of that was happening. So it was planned. It had to have been planned. And somebody gave her the itinerary in some way and was making sure she followed through. That to me is the only thing that makes sense, just also because of Skye's personality. It's not that I don't believe she's capable. It's just I know how frustrated and scared she would be by herself in that situation. She took after my dad. My dad's the type of guy who needs to prepare, over-prepare. If there's a new doctor's appointment, a new doctor, okay, he has to do a dry run a few days before to make sure he knows. Skye was the same way. Skye wasn't just oh, let's just go do this, Skye was going to complain if it was too hot or too cold. She always had to be in her safe space or else she wouldn't do it. She had, when she had to start working, my parents were you're in college, you need a part-time job. She had all these weird excuses to not work certain jobs. She's well, if I can't see the whole store, I can't work there. Just all these weird little things to just be safe, be prepared to calm herself. So yeah, she's 21. Yeah, she's an adult. But you have to factor in the personality type and the lengths to what she did to get to where she was going. It just, the missing part to me is who helped her, you know? But since there's nothing, I mean, it's just a theory. There's nothing to go on, you know?
As I was speaking with Megan, I told her that one aspect of the theory of Skye potentially dying by suicide that troubled me was the money remaining in her bank account. Nearly $1,000, which would go a long way in Japan in 2008. I will say that I understand completely why suicide is the prevailing theory in this case. What I couldn't wrap my head around was how a 21-year-old who had been dreaming for years of going to Japan didn't spend their money.
It could have, like, another theory too is just she was met with an accident. Like, she wanted to go out, she wanted to explore, she wanted to just like break out of her shell. And that's something I could completely understand and relate to. And to be so bold as to take a one-way trip to Japan, like, would be like the ultimate, like, fuck you to my, like, to the constraints that I've been living in. um And then just either getting lost and getting into an accident in some way. Like, that's feasible. Um, but there's just so many other little things that I'm just like, I just don't get it.
Megan and I discussed what Skye would look like in Japan. The idea that she might be an easy target. She has no cell phone, no form of GPS, and according to conversations her family had with her professor, Skye didn't know enough Japanese to really blend in. We know she asked a local vendor for help with travel. Basically, Skye likely would have looked like a tourist and stuck out pretty badly. Of course, it's just a theory, but I think it's worth considering that Skye may have been met with foul play, even if she had planned on dying by suicide. That would certainly explain why she didn't use all her money. But unfortunately, this is where Skye's trail ends. Authorities and Skye's family spent years trying to match her to unidentified bodies in the area, but there was never a match. Skye's case has pretty much been sitting for over a decade without any updates. Then, in 2020, when the world locked down, Megan joined TikTok and began making videos about mental health and her journey to find Skye. At the end of 2021, she created a podcast exploring the case called Surviving Skye. But as the world was rapidly changing, we know that DNA technology was too. And that's when Megan realized that this is an avenue they have to explore. But like filing a missing persons report, Japanese authorities required Megan and her mother to submit their DNA samples in person. So in 2024, Megan and her mom fly back to Japan.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the keys. Any leads on who they might have been running for?
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
In the summer of 2024, Megan and her mom fly back to Japan, completely unsure of how any of this is going to go. But much to their surprise, they're joined by a local Southington, Connecticut detective. So it seems promising.
We met with the U.S. Marshal and the detective at our hotel. They stayed at the same hotel. And the U.S. Marshal, so it became bigger than we realized at first. Because I know prior to us even going, the detective was telling us that there's all these like closed door meetings. And I'm like, why? Like, what do you have to discuss? It's like, can we go? Can we not? And it has to be like on their time frame. So they gave me a date at one point, and it was like literally like the next week. I'm like, okay, we'll manage. We'll figure this out. And then also they were like, oh, we need you to sign an NDA. You can't talk about any of this. And I was just like, okay, so like, what am I getting into? Please just, anyways, it wasn't fun at first. So we meet with the U.S. Marshal. The U.S. Marshal has a binder full of like anything I've ever posted, like on TikTok, any movement that Skye had, any like message board that she came up on. It was like thick. So I was like, okay, cool. And they said that so basically the U.S. Marshal is a part of a new agency that deals with Interpol and the FBI, and their main thing is to deal with missing people and fugitives. And I was like, that's amazing. Okay, great. This is needed. And so they use Skye's case as like a bargaining thing to help with a fugitive transfer in Japan. So it was kind of like part of like this package deal. So he then told me that throughout their investigations, like they had not been able to track anything in terms of Skye's like digital footprint after she went missing. So there's nothing. They also checked with like a sex crimes like division, and nothing came up there as well. Yeah, they checked IPs and nothing came up there. And basically, Japan agreed to the DNA because during that time period, there were a lot of unidentified remains out in the Noboribetsu area. So it was basically going to help them close a case if it came up positive, and then it would give us some closure as well. So that was, a lot of info. And then the following day we go to the meeting, and it's very formal. They have this like card exchange where everybody in the room presents like their business card. And there was about like 7 chief inspectors from like Hokkaido, Sapporo, Noboribetsu, and then like their associates. And me and my mom, we give the DNA. The detective had actually taken my dad's DNA and took it with him like prior to going. And he was like, well, let's just see. And I was like, oh, I don't want to like offend them because like they said we physically have to be there. But they took it. And I was like, amazing.
Megan and her mom leave this meeting feeling more hopeful than ever that they might finally get some answers about Skye. And they take this opportunity of being back in Japan to go visit the areas they wanted to visit on their first trip.
We left Sapporo and we went to Noboribetsu like the following day. And Noboribetsu is this kind of rundown tourist town. I'd say its heyday was probably in like the 70s or 80s. And it's in a national park. It is beautiful. But I don't know if it was just the weather and just like the rain and the fog and the just overall dreariness at times that just made it very like ominous feeling. Basically, like even I wouldn't even go for like a day trip, maybe like a half a day trip. It's like that kind of place. And we stayed there for 2 days. And as soon as me and my mom got there, we were like, we should go. Like it just didn't feel great. We were like, we had panic attacks like every night. We went to the 2 inns the Skye was last seen at. One of them was like right across from where we were staying. And it was pretty run down. It may have looked better 16 years ago, but we were like, okay. We didn't have like the confidence to actually go into them. So we were like outside looking at the property and stuff like that. It just felt like it's been 16 years. I don't think the same people work there. If they did, I don't want to ask anybody. It was too much. And then the other one, it was probably like 5 miles away. And on a map, you can look at it and be like, oh, you can totally walk that. It might take a while, but you can walk that. But you can't. Even in a car, it took like like 20 minutes to get there. It was up in the hills. Mountains. So in the winter, Nobori-Betsu has like good skiing. But Skye's not a skier. Skye's not a hiker. Skye was not like athletic. It just wasn't in her wheelhouse. That wasn't what she was into. So when we got up to the second inn, we were like, what the fuck? What the fuck with this place? Because it was so far out there. Anything around it was like abandoned.
One burning question I had for Megan was if this inn, this area, may have been something that was once featured in one of Skye's favorite animes or manga, or if the area was some stunning tourist attraction. But she told me that she didn't think so.
We like looked into a few, but like it didn't really connect in that way. Because anything that would have made sense would have been like Tokyo, not all the way up in like Hokkaido and Sapporo, Nobori-Betsu. It just did it. And it's rural. It's rural to the point where we had an issue at one point where it was Sunday and I was like down to like 2 or 3 yen. And this was after we took the cab up to like the second inn and I didn't have enough yen to pay. And I was like, oh, they'll take a card. And they didn't. Nobody in town took a card. And it was Sunday and banks were closed. And it became a thing. Yeah. But like even in 2024, when they're not taking cards or anything like that, like it's that kind of rural where why would a 21-year-old American like go out there without knowing or without being told? It was like in like kind of like a valley area, but in the mountains. You're surrounded by beautiful like forests, but the forests are, I've never really seen forest this dense. Like you can't look into, like, when you look into like the woods, you see like the trees, you see space. There is no space. There's no space. It's like a wall of trees, and then all the underbrush is bamboo. Like you're not just like casually taking a stroll into this forest. You are not. And then it's also filled with bears.
Megan even hypothesized that maybe Skye ended up taking the wrong train. But even then, she would have had to travel 20 minutes in a taxi to get to the inn. She has no idea why Skye went there, and considers it one of the biggest mysteries in her case. But she does feel that Skye likely never left the area.
So I have no idea why she went there. That's one of the biggest mysteries because it makes no sense. I just got the feeling when I was there that she never left there. Like, I don't know if it was something where she took it upon herself and just kind of like went into the woods, or if because she stayed at 2 different inns, somebody was watching her, instructing her, and like, making sure she was alone. I don't know if we'll ever know. And also, I don't know if she is out there. Like if her body is out there, it would be like 100% possible to never find her body.
Ultimately, the employees at the inn did confirm that Skye was alone on her trip. They never saw anyone else with her, and her name was the only one on the reservation. The trail really does stop in Nobori-Betsu in April 2008. So for now, all Skye's family can do is wait and see if the DNA yields any results.
Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over-medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
So what happened to Skye Budnick? I think we went over the most likely scenario here. Skye discussed dying by suicide, and specifically in Japan. While it does appear to be completely out of character for her to take this journey, and many steps along the way don't make perfect sense, we know it's possible. I think it's fair to say that foul play or Skye being in some type of accident is also possible until we can prove otherwise. Which brings me right to our call to action. You guessed it, directly from Megan.
I think in order to keep Skye's memory alive, Skye's case alive, is to just continue to share her story and, really think about what might have happened, because it just kind of helps everyday people in their own lives kind of like be more aware of their own surroundings and their own family members. And it keeps you mindful and just reaching out to a friend that you haven't talked to in a while who might have been struggling. And I think if Skye's case could, I have no idea what's going to happen. I could get answers that she's no longer with us, but then again, that's going to give us more questions. I can get a call and say that there's no hits, and then I'll live with that the rest of my life. I don't know if the work is done at this point, so I think the best thing is to just keep sharing her story until we know what the next step is. Because we're in a bit of a limbo right now, but just learn. If it helps other people be better people, then that's a win.
As a reminder, Skye Budnick was 21 years old when she was last seen in Japan on April 7th, 2008. She is white with brown hair and blue eyes. When she went missing, she was about 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed approximately 180 pounds. Anyone with information is asked to call the Southington Police Department at 860-378-1600. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. Much of the information derived from this episode comes directly from Megan or her podcast, Surviving Skye. Megan's TikTok account was also a wealth of knowledge. Both will be linked in the episode description. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The door is open, our emotional support puppies are in the room, and there is no storm today, so Popcorn is present. Popcorn and Marley, they are both here, ready to support me and support you. Under what's going on with me this week, what I'm watching, what I'm reading, what's going on, I literally put nothing, skip, and then I later revised it to say that I aspire to have the time to watch the documentary called Subject, and it's made by Michael Peterson's daughter, who, as you might remember, he was the subject of the documentary The Staircase. I think enough said, most of you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, she created a different documentary about what it's like to be the subject of a documentary. And as someone who was just the subject of a documentary, I want to watch it. So I just wanted to throw it out there and kind of suggest it. I haven't watched it yet, but I hear that it's fantastic. A friend sent it to me, and I'm always down to support a family in true crime, but I aspire to be back next week to actually tell you about the documentary. I've just been on my business this week, and I'm really not mad about it. I have so much I'm trying to get done, and this has been a very productive week, and I'm happy. On to Skye's case. Now, I want to tell you why I picked it, and it's probably no surprise. I met Megan on TikTok, and I've been following her journey for a really long time. And again, I really do want to encourage you, go listen to her podcast, Surviving Skye. Go check out her TikTok account. I will have everything linked. Please go support her. And, that's also the reason why Megan is so heavily featured in this episode. As I found myself trying to go through our interview and translate what she said into my own words, it was one of those cases. This is one of those cases and one of those scenarios where I felt like I couldn't rewrite it to make it sound any better. There's something I think is really powerful when you hear it come from someone who's directly involved. That emotion, the raw, even the cadence of how they speak. I love putting in raw audio, and I know that can be hit or miss with some people. But this episode, it felt extremely appropriate for, because so much of it is theorizing. We know so little about what happened to Skye after she got to Japan and what happened before. There's so much speculation, and I didn't want to make it like a 10-minute episode and cut everything out. I wanted to honor her sister's journey and what she's gone through, and her theories, what she saw. She was there in Japan twice trying to make all this happen. So I hope that you liked it. I think Megan's amazing. Again, go check out her own stuff. But yeah, I picked it because I'd been following her for a very long time on TikTok. There's so many accounts like that, to be honest, where I have been following, watching, waiting to develop a series or to get them on the list to make it on the podcast. I've said it a few times before, but one of the hardest unexpected things about making this podcast is the amount of people that I can't reach. It hurts. I hate it. I aspire to be able to create more content, to reach more stories, but right now it just is what it is. And this, I don't want to place blame on anybody in Skye's case. We know that she had some falling out with friends. It seems like high school stuff. Nothing seems extremely malicious. I don't think anybody was extremely, horrible to Skye. And, I don't want to place blame in any way, shape, or form. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what Skye's case reminded me of was something I wanted to talk to you guys about that I've been wanting to talk about in true crime in general for a while. And that's how I think kindness can change so much when it comes to crime. And that might sound like so optimistic and hippy-dippy, but I will live by that. I think that being kind in everyday life, no one's perfect. Nobody can be kind all the time, but if you can, it can really change the world. I think crime prevention can be rooted in kindness. And again, I don't have any theory or I don't have any statistics or studies to back that up. I don't, unfortunately. But, as this question in true crime comes up of prevention, right? Why do we tell these stories? Specifically when it goes to solve stories, right? I always hear, well, if we can understand the perpetrator better, if we can understand what made them do this, we can prevent it. And the piece I'm missing is, where's the prevention? I can understand the value in studying things, absolutely, to a certain extent when it comes to true crime, if I'm being honest. But at the end of the day, where's the prevention? And when I'm hearing these stories, there tends to be always everybody lives these lives. Everybody in their life experiences unkindness. Again, I just kind of wonder what that might look like if there was more of a focus on just trying to not make somebody's day terrible or worse. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to be kind. But yeah, I don't know, if we were a society that being unkind was less acceptable, and I'm not saying don't hold people accountable. I don't know. I just wonder what a kind society would do for crime prevention. And I know that is a hope and a dream and a wish and will never ever happen in real life. But again, I think last week, I think I told you guys the same thing. I do think being kind can change people's lives, or at least the absence of that cruelty or nastiness can change the path of somebody's life. And again, that is not to place blame. I don't know enough about these particular lunchroom high school situations to be able to do that, and I never would anyway. But I'm just saying, when we look at crime prevention, even some of like the most evil dictators in history, right? Kindness can go a long way. And it might be hippy-dippy, and I have nothing to back that up, but this is my show, and I will say it. And anyway, I back down immediately when I get so aggressive. Anyway, we are going right into our segment of hope. Now, this is actually not just a segment of hope. It's kind of like a mini update. I do plan to create an update episode in full on this in the future, because this is a case that I've been following for a long time, and I would love to be able to hopefully tell you guys about some type of resolution. Now, this update actually comes right from the family's Facebook awareness page, and I'm talking about case Sarah Stops Pretty Places. There's been a major update in the case, but if you guys aren't familiar, in August 2019, 18-year-old case Sarah was murdered in Bighorn County, Montana. And it was really shady. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. I definitely recommend going and listening to the episode. I talked to her Aunt Grace, who was absolutely fantastic. But there's been charges filed in this case, and I am so happy that they're finally getting some movement. I do want to create, like I said, a longer update on this. But for now, I want to tell you what we have, and that is Natosi Summers being charged. If you guys remember, Natosi is the man who ended up chasing Sarah and some other girls that night down in his truck. You know, he was I'd have to go look. I can't remember if he was officially a suspect or a person of interest, but he was certainly somebody that people were looking at. And he's been charged. He has count 1 is criminal endangerment. Count 2 is assault with a weapon. And then, like I said, I'm going to have to go in this in depth because I really want to break it down and give it the time it deserves. But a 3rd count of criminal endangerment, a 4th count assault with a weapon, and I think that's it. This is new, so I'm still trying to go through it, and what the family is posting isn't always available in the media and vice versa, but charges have been filed, and that's why it makes our segment of hope. I am just, again, I really hope that they get the answers that they're looking for, and I will certainly keep you guys up to date. I am developing, like I said, this update episode. I'm hoping Grace will join us. If not, that is completely understandable. We love Grace either way. I just want to see action in this case so badly. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.